Spider-Man 3 concludes the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy by going back to the first installment and dealing head-on with the event that defines Peter Parker as both a soon-to-be man and as a superhero: the death of his Uncle Ben. His prophetic words,
"With great power comes great responsibility,"
became a running theme throughout the series, but in this film they gain a whole new dimension. This maligned Sam Raimi outing has perhaps been a bit misunderstood and is in fact pretty profound at times and a great work of humanistic cinema. So today let's dive into Grieving and Forgiving with Spider-Man 3. Before we start, it's worth briefly talking about the two different versions of Spider-Man 3, the original theatrical cut and the editor's cut, which was released in 2017 and coincided with the film's 10th anniversary. The editor's cut, which is the one used for this analysis, is 2 minutes shorter but also includes a slew of new footage that was originally left out. Most notably, Oscar-winning Bob Murawski gets rid of several emo Peter moments and turns the attention to Peter's slow transition into the dark side. The result is a Peter that appears to be less of a depressed and angsty kid, and more someone who's consumed by his newfound fame and glory, and expresses that through a bursting vein of arrogance. In fact, most of the additions and recuts are about the inward journey of the characters, both of our heroes and our villains. For instance, there's now a moment in which Sandman visits his daughter Penny in the form of a sandcastle. It's a small scene to be sure, but it adds a lot to his motivation. As with previous installments, Spider-Man 3 is all about the interpersonal development of its holy trinity: Peter, Mary Jane, and Harry. At play here is Peter's integrity in the face of newfound adoration. For the first time in the series, he's not an outcast and he's not hated by the people he's trying to save. Peter's become a hero who relishes the attention but also gets consumed by it. That directly clashes with Mary Jane's narrative, who's just been let go from her new play due to poor reviews. So what we have is two curves going in opposite directions that never quite meet in the middle, meaning Peter and Mary Jane are not communicating. They're talking, but over each other, absorbed in their own worlds located in different planes of existence. This inevitably renders their relationship unsustainable. Simultaneously, Harry is still coming to grips with the death of his father and is intent on avenging him. That is a complex moral proposition, as it entails killing his best friend. Nonetheless, he powers through, blind with hatred, and tries to do exactly that. However, in an unexpected twist of fate, Harry hits his head and is rushed to the hospital. The blunt trauma leaves him temporarily impaired, and Harry seems to have forgotten all about his father's relationship with Spider-Man. What this means for Peter is temporary bliss. Even if it's a complete fabrication, a dismissal of what's really happening, suddenly, Peter sees his life through rose-colored glasses. As far as he knows, the city is safe, Harry is no longer a rock in his shoe, and he's so oblivious to what Mary Jane is going through that he thinks he's going to propose marriage and she'll simply say yes. Inevitably, things start to turn. When Peter discovers that Sandman is the person responsible for the death of Uncle Ben, he suddenly starts mirroring Harry's journey and gets consumed by the need to exact revenge. Of course, that state of mind is heightened by the sentient alien symbiote, Venom, which has taken over Peter's body and mind. What follows is a journey of self-discovery, one that entails grieving Uncle Ben's death and also finding forgiveness for what happened. Peter starts becoming conscious of that process when he sits down with Aunt May and finally tells her what happened. But he doesn't really hit him until he tells her Sandman is dead, and Aunt May reacts surprised at the prospect of Spider-Man having killed a man. Because as she says,
Spider-Man doesn't kill people.
Similarly to the brilliant Spider-Man 2, the villains in this film are used to force Peter's inward journey, what he has to battle in order to come of age and become a better human being. In this case, he has to go way down in the hole, succumbing to hatred and greed, and climb back out to find the kindness, empathy, and forgiveness he so desperately needs, not only for himself as an individual, but for the sake of his relationship with Mary Jane, Aunt May, Harry, and even the city of New York. But that requires going back to the source, understanding that actions have consequences, something that is further exacerbated by Harry's journey, which mirrors Peter's in many ways. He who was once consumed by feelings of worthlessness now tries to prove himself to his dead parent by being the evil entity that is not in his nature, only to find redemption with self-sacrifice. Then there's Mary Jane, who, while feeling completely isolated from Peter and the world around her, turns to Harry for comfort. When the two share a moment of intimacy and kiss, Mary Jane, being infinitely more aware of her own emotions and quite frankly more emotionally mature, understands that going down the path will not only ruin her relationship with Peter, but will effectively destroy the Holy Trinity. As fate would have it though, that's exactly what happens in the end with Harry's death, but not without a moment of deep love and understanding between them first.
You're my friend. Best friend.
It's tragic, sure, but also beautiful and incredibly well orchestrated. Spider-Man 3 is undoubtedly a very humanistic film, perhaps a consequence of one of the men behind the writing, the great Alvin Sargent. Sargent is one of the greatest craftsmen in Hollywood history, known for films like Ordinary People, Paper Moon, and Straight Time. With the Spider-Man series, he dove deep into the world of comics and extracted the best they have to offer in terms of morality. His stamp means that even well-covered ground resonates at a deeper level. About Spider-Man 3 as a whole, it's worth noting that there's a curious and almost irresistible vignette-like approach to the storytelling that makes the film feel like a comic, like we're watching various installments unfold that ultimately coalesce into one big payoff. In that way, the film feels truer to the source material than almost any other Spidey cinematic work. But that can also be the film's Achilles heel, as it means a more unfocused narrative that changes its frequency rather often. Arguably, we could do without the Eddie Brock plotline at least. Still, Spider-Man 3 is unpredictable and compelling, especially when compared to what we now know of the modern superhero era. We would argue that it remains one of the most fascinating and exquisitely rendered superhero films out there, relying on important and affecting themes to tell the only story that matters, the one behind the mask.